wondered how to interact with blockchain data without running a full node? Meet the Avail Light Client, a light piece of software that strategically samples random chunks of Avail's block data to ensure that the data is available. But how do we actually use it? Okay, so in order to first run a light client, we just need to run a simple command, which is basically curl -sl1 avail.sh, and bash. It basically spins up Avail up, which is a convenient wrapper that handles all of the complexity of actually running the light client for you and spins it up for you in a couple of seconds. So let's run that. And as you can see, the Avail up starts to run. You can see the light client config here. You can see that it is starting, and it will soon, once it has properly bootstrapped, and connected to the light client P2P network, it will start sampling for blocks. The light client also exposes an HTTP interface, which you can use to basically communicate with the light client using its API. Let's pull up a new terminal here and run a curl command, basically calling the V2 API and calling the status method, right? So when you run it, you see that the light client is now running in something called as a light mode, and you can see, the latest block and all of that stuff. So that's great. That's cool. Is that it? Not really, right? So when you actually look at the light client, it is actually sampling the network. It is doing its thing. That's great. Using the Avail Light Client, you can also submit data directly to the Avail DA network. And we're going to basically do that in this tutorial and submit some data to the Avail DA network via the Light Client, and then read it back on our terminal. How do we do that? In order to first submit data to the Avail DA network via the Avail Light Client, you first need an Avail account in order to actually submit that data and sign the transaction. To do that, I've set up a fresh new sub-wallet account. I've saved its seed phrase somewhere, which we'll need later. I'm going to copy my address, so I'm going to search for Avail Turing. I'm going to copy this address. And then I'll go to our faucet, which is at faucet.avail.tools. And you can pick your chain, which is, in this case, is going to be Turing, paste our Avail address, right? And hit get Avail. Once the faucet has sent some Avail tokens to your wallet, you'll have gotten one Avail token in your tested wallet. So we can see this on our wallet as well, which I've pulled up here. You can see one Avail token here, so that's great. You will also need an application ID. So let's go to appid.availproject.org. On the side, you can basically create and also search for other app IDs. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to switch to Avail Turing testnet, connect our wallet. And once we've connected our LC test wallet here, we're basically going to create a new app ID. And for that, we need to give it a name. And for this, we're going to call it Avail LC Demo 1. Create application ID here. I'm going to sign my transaction. Great. So once your application ID is created and the transaction is finalized, you'll see that you'll get the application ID number, which is in this case going to be 254, and you'll see the app key is Avail LC Demo 1. The owner is my LC test wallet. Also, all of that is great. We're just going to copy it and save it somewhere else. So in order to submit data, we need to configure our light client to be running in the app mode, which basically unlocks some of its feature sets that allows it to submit data and all of that good stuff. So in order to do that, first let's stop our already running light client here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to create an identity folder. We're going to create an identity.toml file. It might already exist when you run Avail up. So the identity.toml file may have already been created when you start running Avail up. If so, you can change the Avail secret seed phrase that is already in that file and add your own, right? So that's what I'm going to do. So I've added my seed phrase and I'm going to save that. Beautiful. And once we've done that, we are basically ready to actually run our light client in app mode, which would essentially allow us to submit data to the Avail network. We basically run our Avail up initiation command, which is curl sl1 avail.sh bash -s, and then we add in some of the flags that we want to actually input, such as, for example, our app ID was app ID 254. It's going to be on Turing, and then we've also set our identity to be whatever seed phrase that we have mentioned in the identity.toml file that we initially created just a while back. And then I'm going to be restarting the Avail up. And as you can see here in the logs, Turing testnet is selected it restarts the Avail Light Client again. And this time, if you actually look a bit closely, in the configs that's actually printed out over here, you'll see that the app ID is now at 254. That means you are basically in the app mode of your Light Client, right? How do we test this out? We can obviously interface with the Light Client using the Light Client API and test it out. So once the initialization of your Light Client is done, we can query the Light Client status and see what it outputs. We're about to check the status of our Light Client, and boom, this time when you query the Light Client, we get a bit more information than last time, right? We get that the Light Client mode is now in an app mode. We've got the app ID, which is at 254. That's cool. And how do we submit data? What we're going to do is we're going to send the data hello Avail DA. So before we send it, we're going to first encode it into base64, and we get an output such as this, which is just going to be our input. So now we're going to be actually submitting data via the Light Client API to the Avail DA network. So let's take a look at the command that I've actually written here. So we're writing a post command to the Light Client server that's running. We're calling the v2 API submit method. Data basically has our base64 encoded message, in this case hello Avail DA, right? So that's great, and we're going to send it. So what's going to happen now is that the Light Client API is going to send this data to the Avail DA network. So once the data is submitted, you will get the block number, the block hash, the transaction hash, or basically the extrinsic hash, as well as the index at which the extrinsic is at, right, within the block. In order to query or read the data from an Avail block, we can use this method wherein we're calling curl command Light Client API server. We're calling the v2 API the blocks method, and within the blocks method, we are giving the block number, and we are trying to take the data field. And so we get data transactions within that block, and we see that we've got data from that block. So I just cleared that screen up, basically queried back the data, and we still get it back, obviously, in the base64 encoded form. But this time, as you can see here, we get a JSON output back. So what we're going to do is we're going to query the data field within that, and we're going to base64 decode it, right? And at this time, when we do it, we get back the data that we actually submitted, hello Avail DA. I hope you were finally able to submit data to the Avail DA network via the Light Client and see how all of this works. And yeah, that's all there is to it. Have a great day. Bye.